Good afternoon. I'm honored and privileged to share briefly in this service of celebration for Florence Gould. When I've heard of her passing, the word precious came to my heart so strongly. Psalm 116 reads, "Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints." Florence passing is precious to the Lord and certainly to all of us. What a special, special person. It has been my blessing to be her pastor for some 30 years plus. I want to commend her husband, Bob, and her family for the studious, sterling care that they gave to their loved one. You did all that loving hands could do until she was released into the arms of God. Florence and Bob are a pastor's ideal. Faithful, loving, giving, sweet, precious, all of the other descriptive adjectives I could use. These are only a short recapitulation of their lives. As a couple, they were exemplary. I could say so much more. They were so giving. They had a beautiful, beautiful fig tree, and Mary and I love figs, and she would bring me a bowl of them. Just wonderful. They drove to church, believe it or not, up until very, very recently. Both of them being in their 90s, they were at church when the doors were open. I want to remind you that she lives, especially to the family. Florence lives in our memory, and you will be saying and doing things that she did while she was with you. Revelation 14:13, John was instructed and inspired to write, "Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord." Precious, blessed are those who die in the Lord. And just for a moment or two, I want you to think of Florence in the light of her being precious and blessed. And that's God's view of death. And I'm thinking not only of our loss, but the losses that many have suffered over the years. Hopefully, God's view of death will become part and parcel of our view and part of our worldview. Something about death of a saint makes it an event of unequal value in God's sight. Part of the answer lies in the nature of a saint. The Bible tells us a curious thing about saints. They die long before they come to the end of life. Florence was baptized in the name of the Lord. Baptism is a symbol of living and dying with Christ, serving him. Jesus said, "If you're going to follow me, you must deny yourself, take up your cross, and follow me." The cross speaks of death. Florence was dedicated to Christ. She followed him with all of her heart. Jesus said, "He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." That's the nature of a saint. The death of a saint is precious because of what she leaves behind. Life is imperfect at its best, and she leaves behind the pain, and we thank God for that. She leaves behind the medications, doctors, and nurses, and everything associated with sickness and death. She leaves behind a world bent and twisted by sin. And, because of her love for the Lord, she loved people. And I'm sure that she spent her life trying to help people, and that what she observed as being sinful or wrong affected her because she was a saint. We owe a debt of gratitude for many of the finer things in life because of people like Florence. Eventually, the time comes when the saint is released from her labor and goes to her master to hear the words, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." Precious, precious in the Lord's sight is the death of his saints. The saint leaves behind her trials and labors of love. She has the right to look forward to what comes afterward. She leaves this life in order to go home. Home with God, who loves her eternally. Home where there will be no more pain, no more sorrow. Home, the place that she was destined for.